Hmm. Well, I gotta do another video, but can't really think of anything I gotta do. I finished the Skyrim recordings. The Quest review is almost done. I just reviewed one of my all-time favorite games. You know, but I need something for the main channel. I could probably do a Grand Theft Auto top 5 or something. Or I could probably do a video on when GTA 6 will come out. Probably like any other Rockstar YouTuber. I just gotta find something to do. If only I could talk about games. Well, actually, over those videos. The games I gave up on that was part 1, 2, and 3, plus the remake. Those first two weren't really all that good. I will definitely admit that I've been way too overkill on some of those. The third one, honestly, was made because I didn't really have many ideas, and I thought I could add some more. But then there's that fourth one. It seemed good, but honestly, I still think there were some flaws with that one. I guess maybe I could just take a look at the games I have given up on and actually see whether or not I agree with them or not. Well, so I was not expecting to make this video, but welcome back everyone. Yep, that is of course right. Now, a while back, I've made the games I gave up on videos. There were 4 of them in total. The first 2 came out in late 2023. The third one came out in early 2024. And the fourth one came out earlier this year. And, honestly, while I'm still proud of the fourth one, I will definitely say those first 3 could have had a lot done better with them. So of course I decided to compile the entire list and go through the reason why these games are on the list and just, kind of discuss them a bit. So obviously these are all games that I frankly have given up on for a few reasons. So starting off with Mass Effect Andromeda. So this one is one that did not age all that well, simply due to the fact that I actually went back and completed Andromeda. Honestly, this was not that bad of a game. Yeah, I get at first it was definitely disappointing compared to the original trilogy, but having gotten back to it after playing the trilogy a few times and not expecting much, this one pleasantly blew my expectations out the water and became one of my favorite games. Personally, I don't mind if they don't release a Mass Effect 5, but if they do, I would hope that I hope that they at least do have some references to Andromeda. Next up is, of course, Fallout 3, New Vegas, and Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Probably one of the more controversial picks on this list. So, Fallout and Oblivion are 2 games developed by Bethesda and one of their other studios, Obsidian. Now, I've only tried Fallout 3 in New Vegas. Oblivion I've put a few hours into, but not enough to really have an opinion on, at least in my opinion now. But Fallout 3 and New Vegas were 2 games I did try, and I got somewhat far into them. I will definitely say New Vegas was the better one, but Fallout 3 wasn't that bad. I just think my big issues with the games is that they were a bit too clunky and a bit difficult to really get into. And honestly, whether or not they should have been on that first list, I will definitely not agree with that. Then next up, we of course have Assassin's Creed 3, Unity, Origins, and Odyssey. So this is a series that I've definitely had quite a few issues with. Now, this is not talking about the entire series, this is just talking about these 4 games because I feel like these are the ones that frankly were the reasons why this franchise ended up on 2 of my lists. Assassin's Creed 3 is not it's not the worst thing, but I will definitely say the stealth in the game is really lackluster and uninteresting. Unity tries fixing that, but again, Unity is just also a bit of a boring game in general, and just the difficulty of that one isn't really interesting too. Origins and Odyssey, well fun on paper, really just feel like they lost the identity of Assassin's Creed at that time. Not to mention, having to do everything in the game wasn't exactly my favorite thing to do and kind of really dragged my interest down. Next up, we of course have Alice Madness Returns. So this was an old one. So this was on my first two lists. So I would definitely say my issues with Alice Madness Returns, well, isn't the story, but just kind of the combat. I will definitely say Chapter 3 is when the game started getting really tedious for me, simply due to the fact that the platforming in this game just feels atrocious. The combat, well, not the worst, could have been improved in some ways, and just kind of felt like a chore to get through at some parts, and unfortunately, kind of frankly, did ruin the game for me. I know it's just like one chapter in the game, and it's not even that long of a chapter, but it just kind of sucked that one part of the game really dragged it all the way down for me. Next up, we of course have the Battlefield series. So this series has been on two of my lists before. So at the moment, I don't think I hate this series, but I will definitely say I'm somewhat critical of it. Battlefield 3, it's pretty fun. Some parts of it are a bit forgettable, but it's not the worst game. Battlefield 4, while slightly disappointing, wasn't that bad either, and was kind of fun. Then, of course, we have Battlefield Hotline, which, honestly, this one's more of a guilty pleasure. Not much about this one is really that good, but it's a pretty short game. That's pretty much the only really good thing I can say about it. Battlefield 1, I do like it for the most part. The war stories were pretty fun, but a few were tedious. Battlefield 5, on the other hand, is definitely probably the worst one I've played. Half the game is good. The other two, like two of the war stories are pretty good. You know, the French one and the German one. But the British one and, of course, Norwegian one, they're a bit lackluster, and they just feel like they depend way too much on stealth rather than being what Battlefield was known for. But other than that, I don't really have much to say about this series. Then, of course, we have the GTA trilogy. This is probably the one that I was actually the harshest towards, and that is kind of simply due to the fact that, there's a lot of issues I've had with this trilogy. So let's start off with GTA 3. I will definitely say this one has not aged the best. It's not the worst, but it's simply not the best. Then there's Vice City, which, in my opinion, I still think this is my least favorite out of the trilogy. I don't like having to buy up all these businesses just to be able to progress in a game, especially when some missions kind of don't have the best payouts. But overall, I can respect what Rockstar was trying to do with this one. Then we have San Andreas, which I like this one. You know, there's quite a few missions I do like about it, and I generally do think this is one of the best open worlds in the series. So I don't have much else to say about this one, but do remember I did criticize this one heavily in the original video. Next up, we of course have Final Fantasy 13. Not the first Final Fantasy here, and it won't be the last. Now, Final Fantasy 13, I was hoping that this one would be good. My big issues with this one is the combat system and the lack of difficulty settings. The game's difficulty just kind of feels like it had some really sharp increases and just kind of really, kind of just, I don't know, just kind of made playing this game a bit tedious, having to restart the same battle over and over. And I'm also not much of a fan of the combat system. I've played a bit of Lightning Returns, and I've played a bit of Type 0 in 15, and I will definitely say the combat in those games were a lot better than what they were trying to do in Final Fantasy 13. Of course, next up we of course have Bound by Flame. Now, technically, this one could probably be put in the Souls-likes category, simply due to the fact that, well, I'm not a fan of that genre either. But Bound by Flame has a special place in this list. So, this was when I was actually trying to start trophy hunting. And so I had this one, and I got all the way to the end, and I can't even beat the final boss because of a huge difficulty spike. And I never got that far ever again because I either just simply gave up or just really did not have the energy to really put into this game. It sucks because Bound by Flame is actually a really interesting game and neat um, a neat twist on Souls, but unfortunately, I think the difficulty spikes has really ruined this game. Even though this game does have option difficulty settings, even on the lowest ones, it's still kind of a punishing experience, and it's frankly not really that fun. Next up, we of course have Fable 1 and 3. So, Fable 2 is not on this list because I actually really enjoyed this one. Fable 3, I do like parts of it. It's a disappointing story, but I will definitely say Fable 3 is the reason why Fable 1 was a game I never finished. Fable 3 was just that disappointing that I ended up adding both to the list because at that point I generally had no plans to really finish Fable 1. I will probably go back to it eventually because I do have Fable 3, but it just kind of sucks with how disappointing that one was. Next up, we of course have The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Honestly, how this one even made it on the list is really surprising. I have no hate towards this game. I guess I was just bored of it and just felt that I would make a neat choice for that list. I think most of what made the games I gave up on this part 3 so mediocre was the fact that there was generally no reason for that video to be made, and this one just kind of proves one of the reasons. Same thing with the next pick, that of course being Final Fantasy 15. Yep, so another Final Fantasy. Although this one I actually do plan to complete again. Again, this one made it on the list simply just because I guess I just found it boring, and I guess I really just want to have that video out that quickly. Yeah, I don't have much to say about Final Fantasy 15, other than the fact that I do plan to finish it sometime. Next up, we of course have Knights of Azure. This one actually really hurts because I actually really did like this game. So Knights of Azure was developed by Gust, the same people who developed the Atelier series, and of course Blue Reflection. They also had the Knights of Azure series. Now I've played Knights of Azure 2, and I really enjoyed it. It was a really fun game, and I was hoping to enjoy the first one. Unfortunately, on the other hand, this one was it had various difficulty spikes towards the end of the game, and top it off with a lack of difficulty settings. It just kind of turned me off on the game, which is kind of unfortunate because the game rewards you for playing this one if you play 2, as some of the characters do return. And Knights of Azure itself was actually a pretty phenomenal game for the most part. Next up, we of course have Resident Evil Code Veronica. This is probably the one Resident Evil game that I will never play again, simply due to the fact that, well, lack of difficulty controls and tank controls really made Code Veronica one of the most excruciating experiences I've ever had gone through. Now, I'm not gonna sit back and claim that the older Resident Evils or the newer ones were good. No, this one has its charms. I do like the story. I just do not like the fact that it just is such a pain to play. I didn't have this issue with Resident Evil 1, but with Resident Evil 2 and 3, this is when I started noticing the issue, and it just kind of made dealing with the tank controls a bit of a hassle. Next up, we of course have Souls and Souls-likes. Now, I've tried a few Souls-likes before, I've actually completed one called Vampire, and I do plan to play through Fallen Order and a few others. But I will definitely say my big issues with the Souls likes is the fact that these are too stressful to play. Not in terms of not in terms of just that it, I don't know, but what I meant was that yeah, the lack of difficulty and brutal difficulty for these games really made playing through a lot of these not the best experience. It also sucked when it came to games like Stellar Blade that felt like it was marketed as a hack and slash only for it to be a Souls like. I don't mind the genre, but I definitely would wish that there was a bit more accessibility with that. But that's all I'll say about this one. So next up, we of course have Batman the Arkham games. So yeah, my big issue with this game is the stealth and the fact that it just feels like it takes so much from Assassin's Creed. I don't hate Assassin's Creed. It's not a series for me, but when I played this one, I was expecting something really good and not just a bunch of stealth. Not to mention that when you lose, the game also makes fun of you, isn't exactly the best, which isn't exactly my most favorite thing, and kind of just frankly just turned me off on the game even more. But overall, this was some reasons why I gave up on certain games. Some of them I know I have replayed, others I actually never plan to play again. But I just want to state that this was not meant to be an attack on anyone. This is just simply me stating my opinion about certain games. So until then, thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful night, and goodbye.